Nathan Zegura. He joins us now on the Fan Hotline. Welcome back to the show, buddy.
Thanks, guys. Good to be with you.
Well, it's great to have you here. You were very complimentary about Dillon Gabriel on the broadcast on Saturday in the post game. What'd you see from the young man?
Yeah, I saw the things that you liked about him on tape. Operated the offense efficiently, was very good within the structure of the offense in terms of identifying the reads that are given to quarterbacks in an offense like this, understanding where the football needs to go, delivering it on time and accurately. 13 of 18, that's 72%, 143 yards. He averaged 8 yards per attempt. I thought that was very good. I thought that was very efficient. I thought that he showed the ability to put the ball really, especially in that intermediate range, that 10 to 19 yard range. That's where quarterbacks in the National Football League often make their money. Yes, you got to be able to throw the deep ball, but when you can rip it in that 10 to 19 range, that's where you really make your money. That's where the quarterbacks who are best in the league statistically are the best. And Dillon Gabriel in this game, in that intermediate range, I thought was very, very good. If you look at him from just those throws that are 10 to 19 yards in the air, 5 of 7 for 81 yards, 11.6 yards per attempt, a rating of 109.8. Those are the NFL throws, the dig that he had to Caden Davis. I thought he showed good accuracy and poise on third downs. He converted his first 5 third downs, 4 of 4 passing on 4 third downs that got him, kept those drives alive. So I thought there was a lot to like. Obviously, you need to dirt the ball on the interception. Not his fault in the sense that neither his tight end nor his receiver were where they were supposed to be. And if you watch the All-22, you can see the receiver gets pushed down about 5 yards. The tight end gets pushed up a few yards. They should have had at least 10 yards of separation in that levels concept. And it leads to that bad play. He'll recognize that. He'll throw that one away. But I thought in terms of going out there and looking like he had been in this system for a long time when it was new. He's not a guy who'd been under center a lot, and that you kind of saw that on the fumble. I thought he looked very good, calm in the pocket, decisive, adjusted his arm angles at times to create throwing lanes, and was just really accurate. You look at that third down conversion to Jamari Thrash on the out. That ball's anywhere else, it's a pick six or it's incomplete. He put it exactly where it had to be. So I thought very encouraged. I think Browns fans should be very encouraged that both Shedeur Sanders and Dillon Gabriel absolutely look like they belong in the National Football League.
Yeah, you know what? I love having you on because you go really in depth with some of the plays, and so you kind of broke down the pick six and what happened there with Dillon. What happened with the botched handoff between Dillon and the running back?
That's when I'll have to talk to the coaches to know definitively what happened. But what it looked like for me was the Browns were running kind of some type of a trap or a wham. So it looked like to be an outside run, and it looked like Dillon Gabriel's first step was more kind of straight back and not on the angle, and he just wasn't able to quite get it out there to Pierre Strong. So perhaps Pierre Strong's track was a little bit off as well. I don't know that, but that's what it looked like to me on that one. And listen, he has not been under center much in his career, and those are the things that you have to work out. And I think game reps are probably a little slightly different speed for everybody than a practice rep of that same play. So that's a good learning thing for him, regardless of who would ultimately would shoulder the majority of the blame there. That's a good learning thing. At the quarterback, it is your job to put in the pocket. Running backs do not look there. They're not supposed to look. They're supposed to have their eyes on their track and reading their keys, and the quarterback's supposed to get that ball in the pocket. So that did not happen on that play.
Well, and as you mentioned Pierre Strong, I want to ask you about him because I thought he looked awesome in this game. And then obviously it's a great sign to see Amani Marshall even get in the end zone. But Pierre Strong looked really good.
Yeah, and that's what Pierre Strong does. He has that breakaway ability, hit the 54-yarder, bounce it outside, and showed that burst. And, look at his career over his time in the NFL. He's averaged 5 yards a carry for his career. Limited carries, obviously. I think with Pierre, the tough part for the Browns is if you look at the guys that are ahead of him right now, in Jerome Ford and in Dylan Sampson, similar type of players. And so obviously you drafted Quinshon Judkins where you did because he's supposed to be kind of that more the bigger back and really the bell cow for this offense. And I think, Dylan Sampson's change of pace and you're going to see Jerome Ford be change of pace, but also kind of a third down back, has the trust of the coaches, obviously, to protect the quarterback. And he's done that very well throughout his career. So I don't know where that leaves Pierre Strong, but that's a good thing that he looked good. He certainly is an NFL back. And you mentioned Amani Marshall with the news today from Adam Schefter about Quinshon Judkins, which I found to be obviously very disappointing, that it sounds like he's not. I was hoping he was going to be signed today and back at practice tomorrow. Amani Marshall has been their best big back enough to maybe make this initial 53 if the situation with Judkins isn't resolved at that point, because he knows the system. They like him a lot, and he even showed the ability in pass pro. You go back to Shedeur's second touchdown in the game. Marshall gets that slide protection, was a little late, but got there. Shedeur goes to the right, resets his feet, throws a beautiful ball to Caden Davis. He had a nice blitz pickup in this one as well on a big play from Dillon Gabriel.
I sure am glad I bought that Amani Marshall stock, and I've been telling everyone that I've got the receipts over here. JP will let you know. I've been talking about it for far too long.
Big Marshall guy.
Now we've got
good. And listen, he'll be in the program. Like, I think any way you see it, Amani Marshall, I think they're very pleased, and there's somebody that they think can play a variety of roles for them even going forward.
Nathan Zegura on the fan hotline. Which preseason start graded out higher for you, Dillon or Shedeur's?
I don't get into that, because to me, you're looking at, were these guys, the things that we saw on tape from them both. You would say, like, Dillon had more negative plays, right, from Shedeur, but Shedeur had a pass over the middle of the field that their DB dropped, so that could have been an interception. I look at it, did they show me the things on tape that I liked that make me feel like these guys are NFL quarterbacks? And I would say for both of them, a resounding yes. Resounding yes. Shedeur Sanders, ball placement, so accurate. The pocket poise, the subtle movement in the pocket, resetting of his feet, the ability to make plays not only in structure but out of structure, as we saw in the one where he rolled out and got to Luke Floria. A moment was not too big for him. Did not expect it to be. It certainly was not. He's going to have to eliminate kind of the ones where he runs around, runs back. That's not going to work in the NFL against the starters. But you saw all of the traits from Shedeur Sanders that you needed to see, and I thought he handled the operation better. Stuff was very good, very clean, looked good in the pocket. So again, and the arm strength. You go back to that ball to Gage Larvidan on the dig out of his own end zone. That ball was 25 years in the air on a rope, kind of flat-footed. So no questions about his arm strength. So I thought he answered everything in the intermediate game. I thought he looked good under center. And then the things that we knew, his hallmarks, incredible ball placement, elite ball placement, accuracy, poise in the pocket, ability to make splash plays, boom, check, done there. Dillon Gabriel, what you wanted to see was his ability to go within the rhythm of this offense and to operate. He took what the defense gave him. There have been breakdowns by Kurt Warner, breakdowns by Chase Daniel, other quarterbacks who were very pleased with how he operated in an offense that wants their quarterback to operate within that structure and operation more often than not. And so I think you saw that. I thought we saw plenty of arm strength and zip on the football. I think we saw a very good ball placement and accuracy, something he did certainly in his time at college. So I think and again, the poise. I thought early that first third down, his feet were a little choppy, but he did a good job keeping his eyes down the field, found Blake Whiteheart as the game went on. Those feet calmed down. And I thought he just, again, looked like a professional quarterback. Both of these guys looked like professional quarterbacks. And so it's not who was better. I thought for what you wanted to see out of Dillon Gabriel, because you understand the way that he's going to be successful in the NFL, then that's to be a rhythm-based passer, to be able to throw with anticipation and operate within structure. Check, 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 check. Dillon Gabriel is going to be successful in the NFL the way Brock Purdy is successful in the NFL, the way Tua Tagovailoa is successful in the NFL. Shedeur Sanders, on the other hand, can be successful in that way also, but he also has the ability in some of those out-of-structure situations to make some of those splash plays, and I think we saw that. So to me, it was like boxes checked, boxes checked, boxes checked. Very positive. And if I'm a Browns fan right now, I'm not getting into the tribalism of he has to be good, so that means the other guy's got to be bad. They're both good. And what their relative ceilings and floors are, I don't know. We'll find that out over time, but you had to be encouraged, I think, by both of their performances, because they won in the way in which you understand they had to win, but also showed you a little something beyond that.
Kevin Stefanski naming Joe Flacco the Week 1 starter. What was your reaction to that news?
I mean, at this point, it was expected, as we talked about, recently, when Kenny Pickett has not been able to be in team drills since, the fourth day of training camp. He hasn't been in the competition. And you look at the schedule out there, not to mention that both Gabriel and Shedeur missed times. And you look at the schedule that you're opening the season with, your first 6 opponents were combined 40 games over 500 last year. You weren't going to rush a rookie out there. And so Joe Flacco, by not only being the best quarterback that's been here, by being the most available quarterback that's been here, Joe Flacco, sees this job, sees the opportunity, and he's going to go in there and be the starter Week 1. So not surprised. Again, I think it's, we never got to see this play out and really go in the competitive way that the Browns had hoped when they had these 4 quarterbacks here. But what we saw was Joe Flacco be consistent and Joe Flacco standing tall, literally at the end of it.
He is very tall.
I'm
like 6'4".
I look up at him.
Yeah.
Same.
Yeah, there's no shame in that. Looking up to Joe Flacco seems like a good dude too. So, what's the key then? That everyone's talked about how tough those first 6 games are. what is the key for this offense to be better than they were last year by a wide margin and, really make hay those first 6 games instead of putting the team in a deficit?
It's simple. The Browns' formula is going to be to play very good defense, and that's going to be led by what has been so far a dominant defensive line. And I think that we saw it in Philly. We saw it in Carolina. I think we'll see it throughout this regular season. I mean, you're talking about, I think the Browns have 6 guys who should be on 53-man rosters at the end, and 6 in that defensive tackle room as well. Miles looks better than ever. Isaiah McGuire and Alex Wright are playing great. Joe Tryon-Shoyinka fits this defense to a T with his ability to get around the edge. And then Cam Thomas and Julian Okwara have played very, very well. And then on the interior, we haven't even seen Mike Hall yet, and he might be the most talented of the group, but Mason looks great. Malik Collins, absolute pro in there. Shelby's playing well. Juwan Briggs is playing well. Aiden Huntington is playing well. So that part of it is exciting. And then offensively, we've got to run the football. We've got to be good at that. And then when we have the opportunities for that hard play action, those chunk plays, we've got to take advantage of them. And that's something Joe Flacco has done very well. Now, when we went 4-1 with Joe Flacco, we threw for 300 yards in every game, but there were too many turnovers. We cannot turn the football over this year like we have in years past if we want to have success.
Isaiah Bond now in the mix. Seems like he'd be just a perfect candidate for some deep Joe Flacco balls.
Absolutely. And for Isaiah Bond, it's clear the Browns have invested a lot of time and resources into investigating him, not only as a player, but as a person, given the allegations that were brought against him that he has been cleared of. He is, listen, this draft, all of a sudden you're saying you've got Mason Graham, Shedeur Sanders, Dillon Gabriel, Carson Schlesinger, Quinshon Judkins, Isaiah Bond, Harold Fannin, Dylan Sampson. Like, that's crazy. And if you had told somebody a year ago that would have been the Browns, oh, by the way, they also got a future first-round pick as well, they would say that was impossible. Like, you're playing a Madden simulation where you rip the computer off. But that's what it's got. And this has a chance to be a transformative draft. And Isaiah Bond is at a position of need, in my opinion, with his speed. Lance Zierlein, not Greg the Leg, Lance Zierlein at NFL.com. There, who writes all their profiles, thinks he will be a plus starter quickly. He compares him to Jalen Waddle. Don't forget that Isaiah Bond was with Tommy Rees in Alabama when he was the offensive coordinator there. And obviously that was noted in the press release that Tommy Rees obviously likes him, has vouched for him, and is excited to get him in the building. So I think that Isaiah Bond has a chance to be a real difference maker. They gave him kind of an unprecedented, undrafted free agent contract, fully guaranteed, and it would have slotted him kind of in the second round, late second, early third round, which is most people thought he would have been that. And had he not had any of the other stuff, he probably would have been a second round pick. So listen, that's a good swing to take, and hopefully it pans out. But he is a talented, fast 4.39 40 wide receiver.
You're talented. I've heard you get about a 4.7 these days, which for our age is very, very fast.
I don't know. That sounds like me popping a hammy bigly.
I went for a walk downtown, and I was like, why is my hamstring so tight today? It's because I'm fat. Nathan, really good stuff, buddy. Appreciate you.
Thanks, Nathan.
All right, you got it, guys. Thank you.
Browns analyst Nathan Zegura on the Fan Hotline.